morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and today, I'm really quite excited, because we get to talk about Ditto V and Ditto VMAX. Now, we knew Ditto was coming in some form. We had previously seen the booster pack for Shiny Star V, the new set in Japan, and we had seen that there was a Ditto on the front of that pack. So we knew that in some way or other there was going to be a Ditto, and remember, we currently don't have a Ditto in the standard format. We had Ditto Prism Star. It was one of the best cards, one of my favourite cards we've ever had. Can evolve into any stage 1. So good for decks, and sneaky techs and consistency, and so good. Played it in almost every deck, so I generally play janky stage 1 stuff. But it's gone. Ditto Prism Star's gone. Now we got Ditto V and Ditto VMAX. I'm pretty psyched. But is it any good? You shouldn't be surprised to hear that our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. Now, starting off with Ditto V and starting off with the basics, we've got 170 HP, which is dumb low. It's down there with more Pico. It is not good. Retreat cost of 2 does give free retreat with Air Balloon, and weakness of fighting means it shares a weakness of all those things like Eternatus and Crobat, etc. So it's not a great weakness to have, and it's a colourless Pokemon. That does mean you get access to powerful colourless energy, though don't get too excited. And that's about it, because it's not a good time to be a colourless Pokemon. You don't really have very many tricks. No, ladies and gentlemen, and you're hitting nothing for weakness, obviously. The days where you were getting Garchomp C level X are long gone. No, ladies and gentlemen, on the face of it, looking at the basics, there is not very much to like about this Ditto. But it's got a rather lovely ability. The ability says V Transform. Once during your turn, you may choose a basic Pokemon V in your discard pile and switch it with this Pokemon. Any attached cards, damage counters, special conditions, turns in play, and any other effects remain on the new Pokemon. I.e., if it hasn't been down for a turn, you're still not allowed to VMAX. Any damage is still there. If you were poisoned, you're still poisoned. If you were burned, you're still burned. If you've got energy on there, you've still got the energy. Any Pokemon tools are still on there, etc, etc, etc. Lots of good stuff going on here. Essentially, you get to swap Ditto for any Pokemon in your discard pile, and there's a lot of really good things about this. We've seen this in the past with cards like Ditto. So the one from Boundaries Cross, for instance, worked brilliantly along these lines. What it basically did was it let you put a basic Pokemon on it and turn into that basic Pokemon. But you could essentially whiff the basic you needed turn 1, but then turn 2, you would put the basic onto Ditto, but it's already been down a turn because Ditto had been down a turn, and then you got to evolve it straight away, and that was really cool. And that's another Ditto that I played in a whole bunch of decks. Ditto is a very cool Pokemon that often has a lot of really cool cards. But is this going to be any good? Now, it is important to note you essentially change once. You go from Ditto into something else, and then that's it. You're not getting anything else. And that's a little bit sad. You change once, and that's it. That's the only change that you get. But I'm kind of alright with this. I'm alright with just getting the one change, because this can make the difference. The thing is, when I looked at Ditto Prism Star, I was like, I'm going to use it in these 17 decks. And the Ditto from Boundaries Crossed, I'm like, I'm going to use it in these 17 decks. When I look at this, I'm struggling to see the same utility. Certainly, it could count as a 5th Pokemon V. You play 4 and then you play one of these as a 5th. But how many times do you want a 5th Pokemon V? They give up 2 prizes. When 3 of them goes down, you lose the game. Playing 4 gives you that security Pokemon V. I'm really not sure you need a 5th, like, ever, if I'm honest with you. So you probably don't need it as a 5th Pokemon V, because you've already got 4 and that should be enough. And you can't switch and switch and switch and switch and switch. You just switch once, and that's it. And it's a little bit weird. But there are some times this is going to be amazing. So, for instance, in a Firebox, you will often be playing a whole bunch of different Pokemon V. You might play Ninetales V. which can essentially copy an attack on your opponent's Pokemon. You might be playing Victini V, which does more damage depending on how many energy are attached to the defending Pokemon. You might be playing, Centiskorch V, which you're going to try and evolve into Centiskorch VMAX and start hitting for phenomenal damage. And I love Ditto in a deck like that, because turn 1 you welder onto it, and then you chill. And hopefully attach a third energy too. And you wait. And you see what your opponent does. And if they've got an attack that can KO themselves, you move into Ninetales. If they attach lots of energy, you move into Victini. If you just need to get rolling in big attacks, you change into Centiskorch V. You've already been down a turn. You can immediately VMAX, and round we go. This is a kind of a box deck. Porygon Z decks. Again, I could see this seeing a whole bunch of play in Porygon Z decks, because Porygon Z lets you attach as much special energy during your turn as you like. And that can be stuff like Aurora Energy, which counts as any kind of energy. Although you'd also play stuff like Capture Energy, which gets your basics, and Draw Energy, which draws a card, etc., etc. And you play a whole bunch of different attackers, and when you see what your opponent's doing, you switch. That's what I like here. That's, as far as I'm concerned, the use for Ditto V. But I'll be honest with you, I look at Ditto V, and I don't look at it in the same way I looked at Ditto Prism Star, or the Ditto from Boundaries Crossed. I think it's a good card, I think it's useful, but I think it's going to be a few specific decks here and there, rather than something that can go into any Pokemon V deck, because most of the time you're just going to want to play your Pokemon V and start powering it up. Now, it does have an attack for 1 colorless energy. You stick on, according to Antoine, you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And I've told you about attacks like this in the past. I'm generally not a fan, because you use your attack to attach energy, and then you sit in the active waiting to be hit. And you attach an energy, and then you let your opponent hit you. And you've got low HP. You can get an energy, and you're going to be playing lots of random different silly energy, and you might be playing it in a box deck, and I like this, but it is only basic energy. It won't work with something like Aurora Energy, and you've got to stay in the active and then be hit next turn, so I'm not a huge fan. But what about Ditto VMAX? Ditto VMAX, this one looks a little bit more fun. Now, of course, with a VMAX, we're getting a sizable bump in HP. We are going up to 320, which is not that low. Ditto V's HP is about as low as we see on Pokemon V's. Ditto VMAX is right in the middle, which is fine. You go up to a retreat cost of 3, though, which is super awkward, because it means you're not getting easy retreat there, which sucks. Same weakness to fighting is a bit rubbish, and again, you're a colorless Pokemon. Although now you can use powerful colorless energy, which you couldn't on the Pokemon V, and that might be relevant. We'll get there in a moment. And it's got 1 attack. For 3 colorless energy, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. This, yes. Love it. Absolutely love it. And the reason I love it so much, 3 colorless energy. Now, remember the rule we've seen on attacks like this. We've seen it many, many times in the past. The rule is very simple. If you need to have the specific energy to copy the attack, it will say so, like Mewtwo and Mew GX's Perfection ability. And if you don't need the specific energy to use the attack, it won't say so, like on Ninetales V Ninetailed Shapeshifter attack. Simple as. And yes, I'm aware that I said Ditto can turn into Ninetales in a fire deck, and yet Ditto VMAX has got basically the same attack, but better because it's 3 colorless energy. But if you're playing this in a firebox deck, you're probably not playing the VMAX, you're just playing the V. And this is brilliant, because you've got triple acceleration energy. Simple as that. We've seen this on Snorlax VMAX, you've got triple acceleration energy. This I adore. Now, it's colorless energy, so you can use Welder and attach a third energy and you're off. You can use Tapu Koko and play it in a lightning deck, and essentially you Tapu Koko onto this and another Pokemon, 2 energy, and then you attach for the turn, energy switch, boom, there you go, there's your energy. There are a million different ways to power this up. You can use Turbo Patch, but you must do it before you VMAX. Getting the energy on here isn't difficult. And then you're copying attacks. So you go up against something like a Zacian V, for instance. How much damage does Zacian do? 230. So you copy Zacian's attack. And now that will stop Ditto VMAX attacking next turn, but it's also a single energy attachment, one hit KO on a Zacian V. I'm pretty much all right with that. Now remember the rule with your GX attacks? Something like Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, you can copy that attack for a triple acceleration energy, but you only copy the you do an extra 30 damage on all your attacks for the rest of the game. If you want to copy the you take an extra prize every time you take a KO, then you also have to copy the if there is a water energy attached. I.e. you can use Altered Creation, but you will need to have a water energy on there in addition to the regular cost. So you can have free random energy and a water, that would be fine, that would work, but just the free random energy won't work. Even if the free regular energy is a water, you are copying the attack for free energy on Ditto, and then you need to add a water energy in addition to the cost. But this is, I don't know if this is going to be a deck in and of itself, but this is the kind of Pokemon you could chuck into like any deck whatsoever, and this could give you an answer to almost anything. Again, we're just looking at those Pokemon that have an attack that can one-hit themselves. And this is where powerful colorless energy comes in, because let's say you welder onto Ditto and then attach a powerful colorless energy, you're copying Brave Blade, but you're not doing 230, you're doing 250, which is huge, because that will get a KO through a Metal Goggles, or through Lucario and Melmetal's GX attack, though not both of them. There's some Pokemon like Centiskorch VMAX, it's dependent on how much fire energy is on there, so you're not going to have a particularly good time against that. But this is going to be so good against so many Pokemon, and it's a great counter to Zacian because you are well outside of Zacian's KO range. I love Ditto VMAX. Ditto V, I am very undecided about. It's got the kind of ability that lets it turn into other Pokemon. It kind of has to, it's Ditto. But honestly, and let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I'm not seeing many uses for it, because there are just not that many turns when I desperately want to turn my active Pokemon V into one in my discard. Whereas with Ditto Prism Star, there are a billion turns where I want a basic that can evolve into any stage 1. But when we get to the VMAX, you can copy any attack for a triple acceleration energy or a welder and another energy or whatever. Oh, count me in. I'm giving this between 4 and 5 Wassies based pretty much entirely on the VMAX, although the V will see a bit of play here and there in box decks and it will see a bit of utility. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. But oh my goodness, I'm kind of in love, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll be honest with you, I've got one box of Shiny Star V on order. I kind of wish I had more. I want a Ditto VMAX in that box. Come on, Arceus, help us out, would ya? But I want to know what you think about Ditto VMAX, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.